Hello, is it everything okay with sound and video? Yes, all good. So today my idea is explain my match against Leonid Yudasin. It was played in 1991 in Riga. So it was my first matches in candidate cycle. My first opponent was grandmaster from St. Petersburg, who currently lives in United States, Leonid Yudasin. It is interesting for me now from philosophy of fighting chess. So there are some matches in chess history which was finished in very big score. Okay, very famous examples are matches between Fischer when Fischer played against firstly Taimanov, then against Larsen. Okay, but there are less famous matches. So my match against Leonid Yudasin, another example of this topic. So I won 4.5 against half point. Also, of course, my match against Duda. Just finished with score 7-1. Okay, not in my favor. So I wanted to explain why happened such score because not always one opponent is much stronger than other one. So probably mm, some another important things are happened and help to leader reach so big advantage with score. And okay, my match against Yudasin was lucky example for me. Yudasin positional or tactics. Okay, if speak about strong players, I don't believe that player can be purely positional or purely tactic. So if it is strong players, it means that he is positionally good and tactically good as well. So he is more or less universal because if he is only tactic players mm, or only positional player, it means that he is not strong player at all. It's not mind theory. Also, Mikhail Chigorin told about this much more years before than me. So difficult to say. But okay, before the match, I uh, made very good theoretical preparation. Uh, During the match, my second was Felix Levin. He lives now in Germany. And about Yudasin, he told me that very important, try to avoid hedgehog structure against him. So, because of this, he strongly recommend me increase the volume. Increase the volume. Okay, I will add some volume. I will check if everything is okay with microphone. Yes, looks like. Just a moment. So, okay. Uh, is it okay now? Sorry, is it okay now? No? Perfect. Okay. So, is it okay now? May I continue? Good. So, because of this recommendation of Felix Levin to play d4, if I am white, mm, why? Because if e4, first move, very likely Yudasin will play Sicilian and something like this. Okay, this is possible. Maybe this is possible, and here a6 or knight c6, and then e6 in some moment. So hedgehog structure is very likely. If I play first move c4, c5, knight f3, knight f6, g3, b6. Again, if I play d4 in some moment, will be hedgehog structure. So, but if I play d4 on first move, for my opponent, much more difficult to reach hedgehog structure. This was a recommendation of Felix Levin, and I think he was totally right. So there is question about David Bronstein. Well, I didn't analyze any game of David in my Twitch channel, but of course I can analyze his games. He is great player. Mm, maybe there is more concrete wishes about which games of Bronstein do you like to see? Because he played many very interesting games. How I can avoid hedgehog setup? Okay, if I play d4 for black, it's not so easy mm, to have hedgehog structure, because if c5 in some moment I have opportunity to play d5 with white. Botvinnik Bronstein. Okay, Botvinnik Bronstein, I can. Mm, okay, I can write for myself that it is Wish Botvinnik Bronstein. Just a moment. My game against Swidler, yes, okay. Botvinnik Bronstein. Stein. Botvinnik Bronstein, Ivanchuk Swidler, Bishop G5. Ivanchuk Swidler. About Chess Olympiad, I see the question, but I answered already many times for same question in my previous Twitch, so I don't see any reason to repeat same things. Well, so I played d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and g3. In first game, I played g3, and he played c5. So d5 is possible, but d5 is Catalan. Knight f3 is possible, bishop g2 is possible, but I remember that during Chess Olympiad, Yudasin explained that he doesn't understand how Catalan opening can appear. And he has a reason, because After d4, knight f6, c4, e6. If opponent plays knight f3, Yudasin usually plays b6. It is Queen's Indian, it is not Catalan. And after g3, the main weapon of Yudasin is played c5. This is not Catalan. This is knight f3, English opening, or d5 Benoni system. But well, so knight f3, this is hedgehog structure, and favorite move of Yudasin here was queen c7. He didn't like to play d5, for example, bishop g2, e5, knight f3, d4, castle, knight c6, the slide, but his choice was queen c7. Of course, in that moment, theory wasn't so developed like now. So, for example, this position, which is pretty popular now in that moment, almost no games or just few games in this topic. So usually white played knight d2 here and black played a6, bishop g2, knight c6, knight b3, something like this. But okay, I follow recommendation of Felix Levin, so not allow Yudasin to play hedgehog. So knight f3 and knight takes d4, hedgehog structure is possible, so d5, Benoni. Okay, I played g3, so black has choice, e takes d5, c takes d5, d6, classical line. Another options for black is b5 here, or bishop d6 is also possible. But okay, so Yudasin played d6, classical Benoni. Knight c3. Important to start knight c3, because if I play bishop g2, black can come back to b5. So knight c3, no b5 anymore. g6, knight f3, bishop g7, bishop g2, castle, castle. So standard position of Benoni. Black has many moves. a6 played Yudasin. One of possible moves. Of course, rook e8 is very popular here. If knight a6, usually in Benoni, black has choice where to develop his knight from b8. So knight a6, knight c7 is one possible plan, and knight bd7 is another plan. So, but just here, if play knight a6, white has tactical resource. Knight d2, if knight c7, knight c4. And if b5, knight takes d6, queen takes d6, bishop f4 is coming, and then d6. So this is theory. Oh, black can avoid this. Black can play knight a8 or knight h5, but anyway, white has more pleasant position. For example, a4, b6, queen d2 or queen c2. For example, queen d2, if bishop a6, b3, and then bishop b2 is coming. So this is theoretical line, more or less same after knight e8. So a4, b6, queen d2. Standard plan. Okay, so he played a6. Immediately knight bd7 is also possible. But now after bishop f4, queen e7, black should play. After a6, a4, knight bd7, if I'm attacking the pawn, black has choice. So queen e7 is possible, but queen c7 is possible as well. For example, in my game against Zdenko Kozhul, I played queen c7 with black. According to theory, it's a risky line because white has idea rook c1 and then b4, but okay, so I played this. But okay, I played knight d2, queen c7. Queen c7, it's not a main line, but Yudasin long term, okay, it's very variable because depends of the nearest moves. Okay, anyway, the main move here in this position certainly is rook e8. And now black are ready to meet white knight on c4. So after knight c4, black has both knight b6 is possible or knight e5 is possible as well. So usually white is playing h3, rook b8, knight c4. Again, black has choice to play knight b6, knight h3, bishop d7, or to play knight e5 after knight h3. Now knight h5 is possible, e4, a lot of theory here. But this is the main move, rook e8. Important to understand that, for example, rook b8 now it's a bad idea because knight c4. And after knight e5, this structure is dubious for black. And knight b6 now is not possible because of tactical reason. Bishop f4. Black is losing material. So white cannot utilize same idea after rook e8, h3, rook b8. Now after knight b6, knight takes d6 doesn't work anymore because after queen takes d6, bishop f4, black has rook e5. This is important difference. So rook e8 is not only a normal developing move, but black is preparing this plan. But okay, queen c7 played Yudasin. He played this before, and I prepared queen b3. Objectively, queen b3, in my opinion, not the best move. More natural and strong in this position just to play knight c4 with idea bishop f4, and the moment knight e5 is not good, so knight b6 is forced, knight a3, and white has more or less clear plan to play bishop f4, e4, for example, bishop d7, e4, rook e8, bishop f4, and this position is not so pleasant for black because white has space advantage. So knight c4 is stronger, objectively. Also, Boris Avruch recommended this this idea. This is a standard idea, but also he recommended after queen c7 to play knight c4. Queen b3, okay, I played queen b3, I won well. It not means that queen b3 is so strong move, and now something strange was happened. So okay, we can try to understand what is idea of queen b3. So white wants to play knight c4 and avoid knight b6. It's more or less clear. So for example, if rook b8, knight c4 is pretty unpleasant. Knight e5, this structure is bad for black, or at least dubious. And knight b6 not exist anymore. But black has good idea just to play standard move rook e8, and now knight c4, it's not dangerous for black anymore because knight e5 is possible. Now if white is taking, black will take with rook, and this exchange is good for black. If knight b6, rook b8, and black is prepared for knight ed7 or knight fd7, so quite standard position, and black has totally why dubious structure? Why dubious structure? Because c5 pawn will be weak a little bit. For example, white can play e5 and probably bishop e3. For example, standard plan maybe it doesn't work good because black has problem with c5 pawn. So sometimes it's possible to play this, but usually if pawn on b6 and probably even pawn on a5, if black can have pawns b6 and a5, they can try to play knight e5, d takes e5, and go to d6 with knight, but not in this position. So, but after rook e8, I don't see special progress for white. So in my opinion, black has totally normal position. But Yudasin played knight e8. Okay, I played knight c4. Very natural move. Knight e8 is hardly natural, but okay, now normal reaction was knight e5 to play knight b6. Of course, I can take, but it's nonsense. I can take and play bishop h6, for example. Now knight g7 or bishop g7. Okay, after bishop g7, white will be better. Probably knight g7 is possible. Okay. Or knight b6, rook b8. Okay, a little bit strange knight on e8. White can play a5, more pleasant position for me. But okay, so it was possible. But was what he played? Rook b8 he played, and I played bishop f4. Natural move, and now something incredible happened. So knight e5 is possible. Okay, same structure. Bishop e3 and not so pleasant because, for example, if knight d6, queen a3, if b6, a5, same idea. Pretty unpleasant. If knight c4, a takes b6. Not okay. After bishop e3, black can try to play b6. Something like this, and okay, dubious, but black can fight, of course. But what happened? Yudasin played b5. This is incredible. He just gave me a pawn. So strong grandmaster in very start of game. So he's playing b5. What was his explanation? That after a takes b5, he played knight e5. So looks very strange. But his explanation was that he just missed after a takes b5, knight takes b5, queen b7. He planned to play and just missed simple move rook a5. So, it's difficult to explain how it can happen in such a strong level. So such a primitive blunder, but okay, everything is possible. So he calculated this, and now probably he calculated only something like this: knight c7, bishop knight b5, bishop takes b8, knight takes a3, or knight d6, knight d6, bishop takes d6, queen takes b5, and he decides this is okay for him. But after simple rook a5, black has no pawn and has no position because my knight b5 is very well protected. Knight c7 is impossible because knight c takes d6, so he just gave me a pawn for nothing. Knight e5, and now of course, okay, I have pawn. Okay, of course, b6 now immediately not possible because knight takes c4, but I can take, and b6, so I have healthy pawn up and much better position. Bishop f6 he played, rook a3. Now I want to take his queen, queen b7, rook a1, bishop d8. He is trying to do something. Okay, if I'm taking, he will take. Probably black has some chances to survive. Anyway, position looks bad for black after knight b5 and queen a4, for example. So, nothing promising, but okay, I Plain more simple. Knight a4. I'm just defending my pawn, and I have threat knight a5, knight c6. Bishop d7 he played, knight a5, bishop a4, queen a4, queen, rook b3. Nothing difficult. Okay, it's playing natural moves. Queen, knight c6. Now he is losing pawn on a6. He cannot take on b2 because bishop is hanging. So queen c7, queen takes a6, and now bishop f6. Anyway, black is losing, but after bishop f6, bishop h3, smart move, and suddenly he cannot avoid my threat, queen b5 and rook a7. So, okay, black could play something like f5, for example, and play much longer game. Okay, anyway, white has pawn up and much better position, but at least game would be longer. Although, I don't know, maybe queen a8 is possible. Maybe I because if knight f6, rook a7, if queen b6, rook b7. Ah, but maybe black can play this, rook b7, bishop c7 is possible. Black is not losing immediately. Ah, or they are losing anyway. Knight e7 check and knight c8. Nice win. Dobre then. So probably, okay. But after bishop f6, okay, it's bad move. Bishop h3, okay. After queen b5, he resigned because I'm just winning a queen suddenly. Rook a7 is threat. If f5, rook a7, queen c8, knight e7 check. So such an easy victory for me in game one. Okay, because very strange play in opening. So firstly he played knight e8 and then he played b5. So okay, I was lucky. I don't know what happened with my opponent. So, how to explain such a primitive mistakes, but it was happened. So 1-0. And now I am black in second game. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. d3, solid line. I was prepared also against knight g5, d5, e takes d5, knight a5, bishop b5, c6, takes, bishop e2, h6, knight h3. Sometimes Yudasin played this line, but against me he decided playing more solid, like d3, bishop e7. Another popular moves here are h6 or bishop c5. But I played bishop e7, castle, c3. c3 is not the most popular line here. If bishop b3, black has idea to play d5. If e takes d5, knight takes d5, rook e1, bishop g4, h3, takes, knight d4. And according to theory, everything is okay for black here. So the most popular line here is rook e1 to prevent d5. After d6, white has choice. a4 is possible or a3 is possible. Both are possible. Okay, but Yudasin played c3, d5, very logical. If d6, white has idea bishop b3, idea to have bishop c2 after knight a5. So here also, if d6, white usually plays c3 to prepare bishop c2. It's not so simple. Knight a5, for example, c5, b4, takes knight c6. It is game Kramnik against Judith Polgar. So, rook e1. But Yudasin played c3. It wasn't the best move according to theory, but he played this. I played d5, knight takes d5, rook e1 he played. I played bishop g4. Okay, it's possible, of course, but very logical alternative here is knight b6. And if bishop b5, black can play f6. If bishop b3, black can play bishop f6, and white cannot play knight bd2 because pawn is hanging and black is ready for bishop f5. Okay, maybe it's possible, of course, this, but I'm not sure that this kind of compensation is totally enough. Bishop g4, for example. So knight b6 probably even the best than bishop g4. After bishop b5, f6. Okay, now d4 is possible. So e takes d4, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, knight takes d4. There is some theory. Probably this was not totally clear for me. Black can play something like this. But after queen d7, probably there is check. I'm not sure that it is enough compensation. Okay, how? Who knows? Maybe might have some problem with development. So there is some theory after knight b6, but necessary to check d4. This line. Bishop b7 doesn't work because queen b3 and knight e6. So this is bad. Bishop d7 may be possible, but after bishop d7 may be possible. Black has several ideas. For example, after queen f3, probably not necessary to play c5. After c5 looks like pleasant for white, but probably after queen f3, black can do something like this. After knight c6, bishop d6 with good compensation. For example, after rook d1, queen c8, also there is threat bishop g4. h3 is possible, but surely black has some compensation because of good development. For example, knight c4 is possible. But okay, it's worth some analyze. I didn't prepare this line before the game, so I decided to play bishop g4. So knight b6 was possible, but I decided to play bishop g4. When I lost, okay, it's a difficult situation. I'm trying to calm myself, but certainly it is not easy. Sorry, I played bishop g4 not here. I played bishop g4 in this moment. My idea is simple. So if h3, bishop h5, after g4, bishop g6, after knight e5, knight takes e5, rook takes e5, and now probably both possible. Knight b6 I can play, or even c6 with martial attack style compensation. Carlsen compared with Kasparov. Okay, it's a very special topic, but it has no attitude to my match against Yudasin, which I want to explain now. So probably next time I will write for myself Carlsen, Kasparov, compare another Twitch. Probably I will do it. But Yudasin not hurry, so he played knight bd2. Important that he played this without h3, bishop h5, because, for example, if now to play knight bd2, black has idea knight b6. And if bishop b5, f6. No, I'm white. Yes, I'm black. Yes, I will flip board. Yes, I am black. It was game two. I was white in game one. It was Benoni. He played terrible move b5 in the opening. Difference here is if d4, e takes d4, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, queen b3, bishop f7 is possible. And here, if I play knight b6, bishop b5, f6, white has this idea. d4, e takes d4, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, queen b3 check. And black has no bishop f7 at the moment. So king h8, knight takes d4. So at least this position I was worried during the game. I'm not sure now that this is really bad for black. Okay, but for example, black can play bishop d6. If knight takes c6, rook e8, even possible to consider. Maybe just queen d7, normal move, and then rook e8. But rook e8 is also possible. If knight d8, rook e1 check, knight f1, rook takes d8, and black has unpleasant threat. Bishop e2, and probably black is good now. f3, f3, bishop c5. Yes, so maybe I afraid ghosts. So probably knight b6 was natural and good here. So probably it was the best. If h3, I can play bishop h5. Also, white can consider this idea. Queen takes d3, knight takes e5, but after bishop takes d1, bishop takes b3, position is totally equal. Hard to believe that white can pretend for advantage here. Okay, black as well. But I played king h8, probably dubious move, and now Yudasin played very good move and very standard for now, but it was not standard in the moment when we played our game. He played a4. So it's very standard move, and we have seen this move in many versions of Italian. For example, here after bishop c5, castle, castle, c3, d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, a4 is one of the best moves here. I played this also with white against Vallejo, although I lost, but it not means that a4 is bad move. I lost because my mistakes later. I'm fine, thank you, and you? I hope. So c3, d5. So king h8 is dubious, so knight b6 was stronger, in my opinion. And a4 is really strong move. And now I have no time for knight b6 because after knight b6 he has bishop b5. And after f6, a5 is coming. This is my problem. If knight is moving somewhere, a6. So this is idea of Yudasin. Rook e1. Rook e1 instead of a4. Yes, of course, rook e1. You mean with bishop on c5. So yes, of course I know that rook a1, rook e1. Now there is theory bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, knight d2, knight b6, bishop b3, queen takes d3, knight takes e5, queen f5, knight f3, and sometimes same with a4, a5 before. But okay, so I know more or less this theory, but okay, let's come back to my game. So Yudasin played very strong move a4, which was surprise for me. I played f6 and he played a5. Now I have some problem with my knight on d5 because he wants to play queen b3. With pawn on a5 I have no idea. Knight b6 or a4 idea wasn't common in 1991. Probably it were some games, but it wasn't like standard idea, at least for me. So queen b3 now is can be considered like threat, and I played rook b8. I don't know is it the best or not, but for example, if b6, queen a4 is. What do you mean a5 knight f? This is idea that my bishop is hanging, I'm losing the piece. If bishop takes f3, white can take on c6 and they are winning a piece anyway. So b6 is just a mistake. And it wasn't so difficult to see it, of course, but black must be careful. So I played rook b8. At least I defend my pawn b7. If he plays queen b3, now my pawn is defended and I can play knight f4. It's more or less acceptable. So this is now d3 pawn is attacked and my pawn is protected. But he just played knight f1 and so queen b3 somewhere can be threat because knight f4, bishop f4, e takes f4 structure is not always good for me. Played bishop e6 looks a little bit strange, but the question if I have something better. White has idea also knight g3, h3, or h3 immediately. So my choice was bishop e6. Probably not necessary, but understandable. Important that d4 now is not possible because knight takes c3. This is very primitive. But he played queen a4. Not necessary, totally possible was just to play knight g3, standard move, and continue to play. But queen a4 is very concrete move because now the bishop is protected and white has threat d4. And a6 somewhere can be threat as well. Bishop g8 is possible to avoid d4, but in that case bishop b5 can be considered. And white wants to take the pawn, although probably black has very strong compensation after, for example, this, knight e7, some two bishops. So bishop g8 was possible. But I played a6, another move, so I am provoking him to tactical complications. I mean, if d4, my idea was to play b5. After a takes b6, only move knight takes b6, queen takes c6, bishop takes c4. Now I am ready for bishop d5. He cannot take on e5 because bishop d5 I am winning the queen, so in this position only move is knight e3. I need to play bishop b5, queen e4. I calculated something like this during the game, and according to my evaluation, these positions more or less equal. Is everything okay with my stream? Because if chat is passive, I am worried that probably something wrong. So please confirm that somebody can hear me and see me. All good. Okay. So it was my idea against d4, but Yudasin played bishop a6. Totally possible was play knight g3, for example. Just play normal moves and try to improve position slowly. Then bishop d2. But okay, so bishop takes a6. He decided to took the pawn. I can take on a6, of course, and play bishop c8 with idea bishop b7. Who is my favorite musician? Mm. I don't know who is my favorite musician. Very difficult to answer. I like some music, but some music like Reiki, something like this. I like some music before the dreams, but if musician, I don't know. Surely not any group like ABBA, like Beatles. If some singer, I don't know even. So, okay, I'm not a big fan of music at all, but who is my best? Well, I don't know. Okay, I will think about this probably. I will have an idea, but so, okay, this is compensation, of course. Even something like this can be compensation. But okay, so my idea was knight takes a5, and I took this. Queen takes a5, rook e8. So I realized this idea. So It wasn't necessary to take on a6 as I explained it. And now there is tactics. So white has choice. Bishop takes b7 is possible to play this position. But I'm not sure that this is totally good. Material is okay for white, but some problem with coordination. For example, c6 is possible. If rook a6, queen, no, something like this is possible. Bishop c8. So white has a problem with coordination of his pieces. So after rook a8, he played queen b5. I played knight b6. So I am not taking immediately his bishop. Probably he missed such idea. Probably he expected only b takes a6, rook takes a6. Even now I have compensation, but knight b6 it's more tricky move because now I have a c6 threat, and he cannot play d4 because bishop c4 is coming. So knight takes if a5 also doesn't work because I will take here. Black losing the piece. So I was quite tricky. So probably objectively bishop takes a6 was dubious for white. And certainly I need 10 minutes break, so I will come back soon. Hola, aquí estoy. Hello, aquí estoy. ¿Se puede escucharme y verme? Is it possible to see me and hear me? Can somebody write and confirm that everything is okay? Okay. So I took on a6, knight a5, rook a8. So knight b6, bishop e3, very logical move because now I cannot play c6. After b takes a6, rook takes a6, white has extra pawn. Okay, black has compensation, of course, but white has extra pawn. So my plan was bishop d7. I played bishop d7, queen b3, b takes a6. Now, very important moment of the game because Yudasin played here not according the position. Very hard to believe that he didn't understand that he is not better here, that I have two bishops advantage and I have contraplay against d3 pawn, and very logical to play here, just take my knight and play d4. And position is totally okay for white. It's about equal. If e takes d4, knight takes d4, and white has strong knights, so black hardly can save two bishops advantage because knight a6 is coming on knight rook d1. If I play bishop c6 with this idea, it's not because white can put this and queen fact that rook d8, queen e4, for example. But even more simple for white to play knight bd2. And now black has some problem because after e takes d4, knight takes d4, his bishop is hanging. Okay, it's possible to take, it's possible to play bishop c5, but after knight f3, bishop takes f3, knight takes f3, position is equal. There is question about rook a d1. Rook a d1 is obvious mistake here because bishop a4 is coming. So after bishop takes b6 and d4, white has good position. Okay, not better, but not worse. Approximately equal position. Disable there. I am disabled to. Okay, probably I will check this function. I would stop microphone now. I will check this function. Please wait. Just a moment. I will stop microphone. I will come back in few minutes. So I am here again. Is it possible to hear me? Yeah, okay. So after bishop b6 and d4, okay, for sure, white is not worse. Uh, and probably if score would be equal in this moment, Yudasin would play this, and okay, this is approximately equal position in my opinion. But because of bishop takes b8, sorry, queen b8 is okay. Queen b8, queen d5 is losing simply. So queen b8 doesn't work. But even if imagine that there is no queen d5, what is idea after d4? So why does he need exchange? Because after d4 I have e4 in the game. Bishop on e3 close his rook. So after he played d4, but I played e4. But now after d4 his rook is opened and I cannot play e4 because after e4 he will just take my pawn. So this is simply reason. So he need to to free. He needs to free his rook from e1. This is reason of bishop takes b6. But he played d4, and now after e4, knight d2, f5, black has obvious initiative because there is two bishops pair and active prospects in king's flank, so surely white is playing with a fire. And now, okay, there is choice. So white can play bishop f4, for example. White can play g3 probably. Well, he played d5. And I play rook b8. Very concrete idea. So if rook takes a6, knight a4 is coming, and then I want to take on b2. Yes, queen e8, queen g6 is also possible. Okay, but it depends what is doing white. Okay, probably the most solid was bishop f4 here to exchange this bishop. But anyway, black is okay. After bishop d6, bishop takes d6, c takes d6. But white has idea to play f4 to prepare knight e3. So still complicated game, but it looks like black has some initiative. But after d5, rook b8. So knight a4 now it's pretty unpleasant threat. Bishop f4 c6. c6 it's possible. But after c6 I can play knight e3. White has good position. Black has no time for knight d5. In my opinion, bishop d6 is the most solid, but okay, now f4 is possible. Probably the most logical idea to prepare knight e3 because e takes f3, knight takes f3 is acceptable for white. Okay, but he played d5, rook b8, and now white has tactical problems. Sometimes pawn on d5 already hanging and position is opened already. And knight a4 is unpleasant threat. Okay, maybe white can do something. Probably rook a2 is possible, but for example, if play rook a2, I can play bishop e8, and now pawn is attacked and not clear what to do. So he played queen a2 with idea to avoid knight a4, but I calmly played bishop f6. My pawn on a6 not really hanging because I can take on d5 back. So what to do? He played rook a d1. He can take on b6, but I will take with rook. If Knight c4, rook b5 is coming, and again this position looks like more pleasant for black, although probably this was correct choice, and play now something like rook a d1 and okay, queen a8, for example, is possible. If d6, bishop e6 can be unpleasant, at least from practical reasons. So it's already not easy, but he played rook a d1 and now knight a4. I'm starting my attack. Of course, white can play rook b1, try to defend calmly. But after rook a d1, to come back to b1, it's not easy to make such decision, although probably it was the best in this concrete. It looks so easy, okay? Maybe so easy. But for Yudasin, it wasn't so easy during the game. So rook b1, okay, I don't know what I would play in this position. f3, in which moment? Okay, firstly, white played rook b1, they need to defend his pawn. Okay, what black can play? Rook b7, for example, is idea to prepare queen b8. f3 is always double-edged, because after f3, white king will be weak, and now black can probably play queen b8. After bishop f6, f3, just a moment, f3 here. Maybe. Let me think about this. Yes, maybe it was logical idea. Yes. Queen e8, queen g6, it's a little bit slow, but okay, but what exactly I need to play now? I need to think. Take if knight b5 with idea bishop c4. For example, if rook a d1, I have bishop c4, and if b3, I cannot take, obviously, on d5 because c4, but I can take on f1 and take on b6, but I will take with rook. And what kind of trades? Okay, black is not looking for trades. Black is trying to play concrete game and probably organize some attack. I played this series because white has g3 square for his knight. Okay, so probably this is too much. Okay, now black can play something like queen c7, but okay. So bishop f6, logical move, because I'm playing against c4, because after c4, knight a4. So, okay, but I agree that probably here, probably just bishop takes b6 is correct to prevent bishop c4. After rook takes b6, play some normal move like rook a d1. Position is complicated, but anyway, it looks like good for black. Rook e8, for example. Knight 1 d2 after bishop b5. Now, if queen takes d5, there is idea takes, and bishop c4, and then c4 is coming. Very sharp. Maybe possible. So what else? If I take with knight, also bishop c5. Mhm. Yes. Okay. Knight d2, f5. Of course, it's not only get to make even better. Also, so is a bit, and all of I am my move is not to fight with my with next cancel. What about now? Hello. So is it okay? Okay, I will wait some minutes. I hope it will be okay. Good. So it's if it's better, okay. So okay, f3 was correct choice. It looks like. But he played rook a d1, and now okay, probably rook b1 was the best, but now I can play rook b7 to prepare queen b8, and I have some initiating. He played knight c4, bishop b5. So I started my concrete play against b2 pawn. I want to take on c4. If he will take my knight, bishop b3 or bishop d7, oh, rook d2 is possible, of course. I can take and bishop d3, and it looks like pretty unpleasant for white. Refresh. Now, should I refresh? Now, no. Ah, okay. So he played knight a5. I took on b2. So white lost material. So queen takes b2, bishop takes f1, queen a2, bishop b5. So black is pawn up, and position is pretty good. Thank you for subscription. Knight c6. It's queen e8. I am giving pawn backs because queen c8 was too passive. Now I am ready to play. If rook d7, for example, I am ready to play bishop e5, and somewhere I have ideas with queen h5 or f4. Also, white has contraplay, so bishop c5 is possible. So position is not totally clear. For example, rook f6 is impossible because rook e7. Black is losing the piece. Bishop takes h2 necessary to consider, but I'm not sure that this is attack. Okay, it's strong attack, but okay, maybe it's really strong, because if king f1, queen g4 is possible. If f white can play f3 on f or f4, and black can play, because e8 square under control, so he takes f3 simply, and queen h1 is very unpleasant threat. So, but when anyway, it not looks like something simple, because if g3, rook f6 also it's unpleasant, and white cannot take on a6 because queen takes d7. Queen b2, you mean aha, f4, queen b2, queen h1 check, and rook takes b2 with check. So this idea doesn't work, and with check. But maybe white has king f1 here. It's pretty dangerous, of course, but maybe not losing. But if queen g4, f3, it's important, and now black cannot. No reason for sorry. I'm happy that my spectators have a lot of questions. No, rook e8 immediately, no, because black will, but f3 it's good, and now black cannot take because mate. So pawn e4, so immediately rook e8 not possible, black will just take. So after king f1, black can try just check and take on g2, but it's very unclear. We can try. What is this? Queen f3, it's red. But white has queen b3 probably now. Yes, queen b3 is strong. Yes, after taking on f3, rook e8, yes, of course. But now queen b3 is pretty strong. Probably it is just bad for black. Queen g4, king d2. Here's nothing good for black. So rook d7 was possible. Okay, after bishop c5, rook f7 is possible, but okay, after rook f7, white can play. Yes, rook d. After rook f7, white can play rook d1, and rook on d7 is strong. White has at least strong contraplay. If rook takes d7, c takes d7, bishop takes h2, it doesn't work because king h1. And white is winning. Not king h2, of course, because queen h5 check. But king h5 is possible. So bishop c5, rook f6, rook e7, bishop h2, queen h5, rook h6, this. So probably it is good for white suddenly. But what about f4 also? f4, bishop d4. And f3 doesn't work because bishop takes g7 and c5 will be made. So black has no time. Yes, f4 I am considering, but bishop d4, and what to do? It's important, of course, white cannot take this because queen d1 and rook h1 mate. But probably white can take with another rook also. Yes, it's also possible. And white is good here. So probably, yes, it was correct idea. Okay, probably situation wasn't so clear. Okay, so I took on b2. Maybe I have choice. Okay, but took queen a2, more or less forced. Bishop d3, knight c6, unpleasant. So bishop b5, c4. That's this. Yes, and now he took on a6. So rook d7 looks like much more principle in this position. Okay, maybe black can do something else. For example, queen e6 is possible here. With idea if rook takes c7, I have bishop e5, rook a7, queen takes c6, and this looks like drawish. So rook d7 anyway was much stronger than, but because he took on a6, he lost important tempo, and now bishop c3, and now rook b2, which moment rook b2? Here rook b2 you want. But what is the reason? I can take the pawn. I can play also queen a3 to have rook attack it. Okay, so both rooks are hanging somehow, so it looks like promising for. So he should play rook d7 certainly, but as I remember, he was already in time trouble, so probably this is more or less looks like explanation of his next mistakes. So after rook d7 situations, I see situations very unclear. But he took on a6, probably it was mistake. And I play bishop c3. And now white has problem with his rook, because after rook e2, queen h5 is pretty unpleasant. So rook f1, f4. Yes, so queen takes a6 was bad move. Now he totally lost initiative. Bishop c5 was possible, or bishop d4, but black is better because e3 or f3 is coming. So especially in time trouble. But he played this. f3. I started direct attack. Queen takes c7, bishop e5. Rook takes f7, and he resigned. Why he resigned? Because rook e2. Yes, there is. Okay, he resigned because if queen takes a7, it's very simple. I can just take, play queen h5, queen g2. Good evening. Yes, yes. So queen takes a6, terrible mistake, instead of rook d1 with totally unclear chances. So yes, rook e2, queen h5, c5, rook b2. Yes, it's Nice, and white losing material. So again, we see that the result of this game was totally unclear until the end. So I played quite good, I think, but if even he played rook d7, it's very, very unclear position. Доброго вам здоров'я! Ви звідки? Yes, it was played in Riga 1991. Отже, сьогодні я коментую свій матч з Юдасіним. Перші три партії, вже дві прокоментував, ще на сьогодні третю прокоментую. В третій партії Hello. Я грав знову білими, тому я зроблю фліпборд. І я пішов d4. I played d4 again. So knight f6, c4, e6. I decide not repeat Benoni, and I played knight f3. And now if he plays Benoni, I have no obligation to play g3. Of course, g3 is normal move, but also white has other attractive system. For example, to play e4, bishop g7, h3, castle, bishop d3 is possible, or very popular line now, bishop f4, if bishop g7, queen a4 check, if a6, just a4, bishop g7, h3, castle, e3, many games. This is very popular position now. But my opponent play b6, and I play g3, very solid line. Bishop a6, another line is this classical line. Now, the sharpest idea for white is this. Okay, but he played bishop a6, I played b3. Now, the most popular line for black is bishop b4, bishop d2, bishop e7, and then after bishop g2, c6, and d5 is coming. What? Bishop g5, knight f4. In which position bishop g5? I don't understand. Bishop g5, knight, bishop g5, knight f3. This system. Understand. You mean in Benoni? Yes. Ullman variation. Yes. Okay. Yes. Also possible knight d2 immediately. Bishop g7, knight c4, castle, and now both is possible. Bishop g5 or bishop f4 is possible. g3 is possible. g3 was my game against Topal. I lost. Hello. So, but okay. Yudasin was ready to play Benoni against g3, but he doesn't want to play Benoni if I have a big choice of system. So he played b6 after g3. Unfortunately, I'm not speak French, not yet at least. So please write in English or Spanish. Yes, he liked play hedgehog, but I am not allowed him to play hedgehog because if c5, I'm ready to play d5. It was my match strategy, which was recommended by my coach. Thanks him very much. Bishop a6, b3, d5. Okay, so bishop b4 is a more common choice here. Bishop g2, principal idea. Because if take, black can take and try to play this, and bishop d6, and then castle, and rook e8 to create some threats against e2 pawn. Knight c3, rook e8. This is possible. this I wanted to avoid. If now bishop b4 and bishop d6, it's not necessary to take immediately. I can play, and after knight c3, rook e8. It's not threat for my pawn e2. But d takes c4, knight e5. It's theoretical line. Bishop b4, king f1. So bishop d2 is not good because queen takes d4, according to my memory. If bishop takes b4, queen takes a1, and it's everything okay for black here. If, for example, bishop c3, queen takes a3, bishop takes a8, probably c takes b3, black has many pawns. Also, I don't know, is it totally clear? Knight bd2. But at least I don't remember such games in a strong level. But what else? So bishop d2. Queen takes d4 is forced because if not take on d4, okay, this is just bad for black. So queen takes d4 is correct. Bishop takes b4. Queen takes a1 is correct because if take knight, bishop c3, and then I will take rook. So bishop c3, queen takes a2 only move, bishop takes a8. Now probably choice. But c takes b3 is the most natural. Maybe not only move, but maybe queen takes b3. Okay, after queen takes b3, white can take and play knight d2. So c takes b3, knight d2. What is this? Queen c2 probably. Queen c2 is queen a1 is possible. So it's maybe bishop d2 is not so stupid, but I remember that all of strong players playing king f1, and I played king f1, and now black has choice. So he played knight fd7. Who did find this line? I don't know. Okay, also bishop d6 is possible. After this bishop d6, I played knight d2. This my game against Motvani. Also, I remember that c6 is possible, but this, if king e7, white can just take and play f3, and probably black has not compensation for exchange is not totally enough. If c3, for example, king g2 to prepare queen c2, a3, who knows, especially in time now with computer. He played knight fd7, knight took on c4, c6, bishop b2. Okay, white has problem with his king, of course, but black has problem with development of pieces. He played b5. More flexible looks to play castle here, in my opinion. There is a tactical idea, for example, if bishop f3, black has this idea. I'm not sure if it really works so fine. For example, bishop g2, if knight takes c4, queen b3, it's possible. And black should play knight d2 because after knight takes b4, b2, queen takes b4, they are losing his knight. So if knight d1, queen d2, knight is trapped. But probably here Black has, okay, queen b3, white has threats, so black has no special choice. What is idea? I don't know. Okay, so probably even this is it's not so clear. Also, bishop e4 probably there is a reason to consider to provoke f5. I know. Okay, but after bishop f3, black can play something like bishop b7, knight a6, try knight c7, knight d5, something like this. Just develop his pieces from queen's flank. But b5, it's positionally very risky idea because now c5 square is obviously weak. So I played knight d2. It's more logical than knight e3 because somewhere I want to have my knight on c5 via e4. So bishop b7, he played knight c3, concrete move. Now knight takes b5 threat, and queen b6, knight c e4. So I'm fighting for c5 square, and also, okay, a3 b4 is my plan. So if I play a3 b4 and knight c5, game is winning for white positionally. So, and he played castle. Maybe a5 was correct, by the way, to prevent my idea. d5 at the moment not dangerous because c takes d5, bishop takes g8. So I will illustrate this line. So this is not a good line for white because black has excellent position. So a5 was. Так. Ні, практично не слідкую за Олімпіадою. Чесно скажучи, просто не слідкую, бо не дуже і часу маю. Так. Але якщо якась цікава партія, чи цікаві партії на Олімпіаді є, ну, то, звичайно, могли би розібрати разом там. Чи мали бажання, як сказати, як я вже говорив, мене ніхто не запрошував грати, тому моє бажання якогось такого особливого значення не мало в даному випадку. Але взагалі-то я надіюся, що якщо будуть командні змагання ще цього року, наприклад, чемпіонат Європи, якщо буде командний, то я би з задоволенням би зіграв за команду. Що я би все-таки хотів би відновити ігрову практику. Ось так. So a5, in my opinion, was the best choice for Leonid. The positions not. I answered about Chess Olympiad. So a5. And black wants to play bishop e7, knight a6 to prepare c5 somewhere. Okay, white has also active plans. h4 is possible, h5, and then rook h4, or bishop f3, king g2 is another possible plan. But it was logical fight. Or bishop e7 also was logical. Idea to prevent a3 before, but he played castle, and now after a3, of course, exchange this bishop. It's positionally bad for black. But after bishop e7, b4, and now it's a positional catastrophe for black because he cannot prevent knight c5, and it means that he will not have possibility to activate his bishop b7 anymore. a5, he played knight c5, of course, and blocked him. Also, bishop c3 was possible as well, just to protect my pawn and after improve my position. But knight c5 is more concrete because now rook d8 and bishop f3. So Only my problem is king, so I am ready to solve it with king g2, connect my rook, and black has many positional weaknesses. So he took knight a6, queen b3. I'm just defending my trumps and preparing king g2. He played e5, looks like desperation because I took now and d takes e5. Now uh, I will have no material advantage, but I have many threats. So, for example, after knight takes b4, I can just take and play e6. And e6 is coming, so at least I will win the pawn with many threats, with two excellent bishops. So bad news for black anyway. He played knight b6, I played knight e4, active move. Knight d5 he played. I don't know. Knight takes b4 looks much more natural, at least take pawn immediately. But okay, probably he afraid this knight d6 takes knight d5 e4. Maybe he afraid this knight c4. He can try king g2. Okay, maybe black is not losing here, but the situation is pretty dangerous for black. He played knight d5. I played king g2, and he took with bishop. Very strange choice. But for example, if take with knight, knight d6 is unpleasant, and e takes d6. If rook takes d6, e4 is coming. So my bishop are very strong, and also somewhere I have threat to d7. Okay, maybe c5 is possible. Maybe black can fight here to prepare c4. But looks like very shaky position for black. No, for example, I can take, and after rook take, bishop c3. If c4, queen b2 is coming. And not only knights are hanging also. But queen b2, rook a2, sorry, rook a2. Maybe not. Sorry, after c4, queen takes b4, simple. So I'm just sleeping. Bad habit, good move. I will directly play it without waiting if there is how I can okay, according to Capablanca, you are doing totally correct. So it was discussion between Capablanca and Lasker. So Lasker suggests if you see, yes, queen takes before, if you see good move, please mm, not hurry, because you can find better move. But according to Capablanca, if you see good move, please do it. So it's philosophical question. So I cannot tell that your habit is so bad. So if you see good move, please do it. So it's okay. Depends of position. But if it's good move in any position, sit on your hands. Okay, but I read only about Chigorin that he tried sit on his hands, but other players I didn't see this advice in practice, and I'm not sure that Chigorin really did it, or it is just a legend. What? Okay. C4 queen b4. About Diak, yes. Okay, he is good, and he made a lot of progress during last years. Okay, I don't know. But okay, in Romania at the moment, Rapport is the best. So, but okay, maybe Diak can fight against him. I don't know. Yes, of course, depends of position and many things. But okay, he took on b4 with bishop. It's if I like Vichy, what you mean? His style of play, or like person, or what you mean? If I like Vichy, please concrete your question. Okay, bishop takes b4. It's strange square for bishop because now also white has idea knight g5 in some moment. But okay, I just consolidate my forces. Good morning. Okay, uh, at the moment 11 p.m. in Lviv, so it's funny for me to hear good morning now. I'm preparing to sleep already. So I play rook c1. Okay, my plan is simple. Just consolidate rook h d1 and somewhere knight d6 is coming. Also knight g5 somewhere it's possible idea. And black has many problems because they can never push c5. So he played queen b6 and now queen c2. And now I'm attack very concrete move. Of course, rook h d1 was natural and for sure good, but so this is illustration. For example, I can see rook h d1 and play this. It's good move. So, without any doubts, this is good move. But okay, I played queen c2, which is better because it's more concrete move. So I am fighting against his weaknesses. So rook h d1 is good, but queen c2 is best. So queen c2, I'm attacking immediately pawn, and also I have threat knight g5. So I am proud of this move. So this is illustration that sometimes idea to play just good move, it's not the best. So now I didn't play just good move. For example, after rook d1, knight c5, knight takes c5, bishop takes c5. It's not totally clear yet. Of course, white is better, but still play. So e3 is possible with idea of bishop e3, rook takes d5, but this is play. But after queen c2, I'm winning because I'm just want to take another threat knight g5, and he cannot defend. Of course, he can give me a pawn on c6, still play, but okay, it's something like this. So it was possible, of course, but chances to survive for black are not very big. But he played rook c8 and now knight g5. So another weakness, h7. So h6 is totally hopeless. I can now probably knight takes f7 is winning, but even after simple knight e4, black is totally hopeless because queen h8 is coming. So he played g6, e6. So black is totally hopeless against attack because all of their pieces are in another flank. After f takes e6, queen e4, and he resigned because I have so many threats. For example, if knight c7, queen e5 is simplest. Yes, okay. Okay, good morning. Okay, like Vichy. Okay, computer ruined. Okay, maybe. It's difficult philosophical question. Well, so I think for today is enough. It's quite late in Ukraine. So attention and see you next time. А українцям бажаю перемоги, мирного неба над головою і всього найкращого. Приходьте ще. In next my stream I will explain two last games of this match. So after this game, which I demonstrated, the score is 3-0 for me. So two last games with my annotation you will see in the next stream. Email. Continue. Okay, you can write me again. You can write me again, and I will answer. I will answer you if you remember my email. Okay, good night. Добраніч всім. Thank you. Дуже вам всім дякую. До побачення.